G'day legends, I hope that you're all doing well. Now today's video will be a lot shorter than the 30-40 minute videos we have been doing recently, but today we're going to discuss some updates around Bakhmut from the withdrawal of Wagner Group and being replaced by the Chechens, the implications of this and what this could actually mean. We'll also talk about Ukrainian official sources claiming to have shot down a Russian hypersonic missile, which was said to be unshoot-downable, if that's a word. But as always, in the beginning, let's have a look over the maps and see what is changing. So, of course, in the center we have Ukraine, the capital of Kyiv, the red areas occupied since 22 by the Russians, and the purple since 14 by the Russian forces, or Russian-backed forces, this being Crimea and Donetsk here, and the green, which is areas that have been liberated by Ukraine since the beginning of the 22 invasion. Here we have Romania, Poland, Belarus, and Russia around here. So, where we have seen changes only in the past 24 hours is, of course, in Bakhmut. Now, this is something that I find interesting. If, Wagner Group is saying that we are pulling out, then they are still actively taking ground and moving forward. I'm unsure really on what their exact tactic or plan here is, and we'll talk about more of this later on of what could actually be going on. But today is the 7th of May, so let's have a look back to yesterday. So over the past couple of days, we haven't seen really too much changing, just some of these nubs coming up here, and then we come to the 7th, and it looks like Russia has moved all the way up to this road, which was connecting from Ivanovsky into the center, or the center west of Bakhmut. And there has been a push through this area here as well. Nothing huge, but more of that advancement through Bakhmut. And if then we come onto the ISW map, what is this showing different from yesterday? So let's actually have a look at that from yesterday, and it is showing no different. So this was actually not yesterday's, this was one day previously where this had squared off here, and we also saw another quarter or half block taken in here, represented by this here. So the ISW hasn't shown any other changes. Now, one thing we did see was just to the north of Bakhmut, there was a slight territorial change here, which is said that the Ukrainian forces did get some ground in and around this region here. But as well, moves on the map we're seeing, nothing is very significant, as it is a bit of a calm before the storm of what are we going to see in the next coming month or so in regarding to everything from counteroffensives, moves in Bakhmut from different PMCs, different groups. What will we see? So, of course, here we have War Mapper's update. Now, War Mapper is very conservative on Russian gains on the 6th and on the 7th on the right. Now, can we see any changes around here? So from what I'm looking at, we're not seeing any significant changes or really any changes at all, where they do show up to this road, which is what they've been showing for a couple of days, which is what Deep State Map, updated today in that location. So up and down the front line, I've had a quick look. I can't see any real changes, but the situation in Bakhmut continues to evolve, as Prigozhin has confirmed his withdrawal and Kadyrov seeks to replace Wagner in that location. Now, as of May 10th, Prigozhin has said that they will be pulling out. And now he's released a video saying Ukraine pulls up to 400 to 600 people daily to Bakhmut. They spare no ammunition. A large number of foreign equipment has appeared, and we have 2.5 kilometers left until the city is taken. So let's have a look here at what 2.5 kilometers is looking like. So let's go from this point in here out to here. So 2.5 kilometers pushing on through here. So we don't really know where is the stable line. So this would say the red is the stable line, but we always know that everything is very fluid in a situation just like this. And there's been a few letters released as well. So let's have a look at these two. So this is the translated letter from Prigozhin. Due to the prolonged shell starvation, receiving 32% of artillery ammunition requested since October 22 and the resulting loss of combat potential within Wagner PMC, we can see back to October 22, there were videos where Prigozhin was talking about ammo starvation as well. But accepting the consent of the head of the Chechen Republic, hero of Russia, hero of the LPR, Luhansk People's Republic, hero of the DPR, Donetsk People's Republic. These are the republics that are self-claimed from the Russian forces. So this is, of course, Donetsk and Luhansk, separated by this border down here. Colonel General Kadyrov Razman, and I won't even try to pronounce the last name, to replace the units of Wagner PMCs with units that heroically proved themselves during the storming of Mariupol and other territories by the units of the Bakhmut Special Forces. I ask you to issue a combat order on the transfer of the positions of the Wagner PMC units to the Bakhmut battalion in the village of Bakhmut and its surroundings by midnight on May 10th, 2023. This was issued on May 6th, so yesterday, signed by the head of Wagner PMC, Prigozhin, to the general of the army, Shoigu, who that initial video where Prigozhin is in front of his bodies, the bodies of his men, was addressed to. And before we go over the letter from Kadyrov, who is Kadyrov? So Kadyrov is a Russian politician who currently serves as the head of the Chechen Republic. Now, he's released a statement on Telegram about replacing Wagner PMC in Bakhmut, addressed to Putin in order to replace Wagner PMC. So this is the untranslated version here, and then we overlay here the translated version. So there are some things wrong in this translation. As you can see here, this is signed 2023, but on the handwriting, it has said that it is on 05. So the head of the Chechen Republic, to here, President of the Russian Federation, to Putin. Now, dear Vladimir, in view of the current situation in the zone of the special military operation, I ask you to give instructions to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, Shoigu, and Director of the Federal Service of the National Guard Troops of the Russian Federation, Zolotov, issue the combat orders to withdraw the Bakhmut units from other directions and transfer the positions of Wagner PMC to them in the village of Artemovsk, which is Bakhmut, in the Donetsk People's Republic, and it's everyone's signed by Kadyrov. And this is substantial and looking like there is now a paper trail of this will happen. Now, Kadyrov has also invited Wagner soldiers to join his ranks, leaving Wagner Group, saying, the Wagner PMC has very good, courageous, necessary people, including us, because they know the area. If you want to stay with us, I promise you that we will give more, create better conditions than you have today. We'll try to make everything in your highest level. You know Bakhmut commander Abdi Aludonov. He is now in place. Adam, that name, you know our commanders. You can contact them, any group, the number does not matter. We will create the best conditions for you. And this is looking like that Kadyrov is trying to poach Wagner fighters across to the Bakhmut forces, as we know that Wagner PMC does have some very elite troops in some of its units, and that Wagner PMC is made up from a number of different units, all the way from conscripted guys from prisons to tier 1 guys to guys who just do personal protection.
Мы готовы взять Бахмут и оставшуюся территорию, мы заберем с одним удовольствием. То для нас никаких сложностей нету. И с Министерством обороны уже начали разрабатывать свою стратегию, и мы в ближайшем будущем решим этот вопрос. И у меня сейчас намечается совещание, и у меня сегодня выезжает Амон Ахмат-1, 2 батальона и 1 полк выезжает на зону проведения специальной операции.
There's been a lot of skepticism about the competence of Chechen forces throughout this conflict, and Chechens fighting on both sides of this. That said, these will be potentially fresh soldiers into an area where both sides are absolutely exhausted in Bakhmut. And there's also a lot of speculation as why this is happening. Is Prigozhin telling the truth and that he has been hung out to dry and starved of ammo, causing massive losses on his side? Or is Prigozhin not planning to withdraw and using this as sort of a cover, as a ruse to get more reinforcements sent then into his location? As pro-Ukrainian pages have speculated that the counteroffensive could start in Bakhmut. Or is Prigozhin using this is to withdraw his soldiers, refit, redeploy, and then go somewhere else once the offensive starts? Now, this is all just a few of many possibilities and just absolute speculation, but I do observe so many people who will suddenly believe someone that they'll always say is lying when it fits into their confirmation bias and how they view things. So I think if you always think one person's lying, don't then suddenly believe them when what they are saying fits with what you think, if that makes sense. Now, I personally don't believe anything that is coming out of any official's mouths in a war where propaganda and false flags are from the bottom all the way to the top. If our leaders lied about weapons of mass destruction, you don't think that the head of a brutal PMC would make up lies to benefit themselves, either in a business sense or politically, or between Kadyrov and Prigozhin, they're playing a game somewhere. I think there's a lot more in this than we are currently seeing, and those who are on the side of this is absolutely truth what Prigozhin is saying, well, anything else he says you will say is absolute lie as well. So try and stick to what your gut's telling you and go with it. But either way, we're going to see what exactly is going to happen in only the next couple of days by the 10th. Either way, this could end up the battle of the sweatshirt. So here on the right we have Kadyrov in this amazing white camo hoodie, actually with Prigozhin, and we have Zelensky with the green iconic sweatshirt from himself, but I think the ultimate sweatshirt for this region is, of course, Sasha from Behind Enemy Lines, the OG of that outfit. Also, the Ukrainian Air Force are claiming to have downed a Russian Kinzhal missile. Now, Kinzhal, which means dagger in Russian, so you'll see it named between those two online. It's one of Russia's latest and most advanced weapons. The Russian military says that this air-launched ballistic missile has a range of up to 2,000 kilometers, which is about 1,200 miles, and can fly at 10 times the speed of sound, making it hard to intercept, and Russian sources are actually saying impossible to intercept. Now, Ukraine is saying that they have downed this, although initially they did claim they didn't, but now they've come out a day later and said that they have. Here we have the statement here. Destroyed by 8 Shahed drones, X-47 Dagger. On the night of May 6, 2023, the enemy attacked with Shaheeds from the southern direction, the eastern coast of the Sea of Azov. The occupiers used 8 Shahed attack drones. All of them were destroyed by the forces and means of the Eastern Command. We also published information about the night attack on May the 4th. Around 2:30 a.m, the Patriot air defense system destroyed the Kh-47 Kinzhal aero-ballistic missile launched from the MiG-31K from the territory of Russia in the sky of the Kiev region. We emphasize once again that the military leadership decided not to publish information about the downing of the Kh-47 Kinzhal by the Patriot system immediately. The reasons are quite clear on your own time. So this was from the official group, which has been over Facebook and their telegrams as well. And I haven't seen any evidence of this other than these two images here that were released. So this is the head with a large hole in the side, and you can just see how thick the head of this is. And people have pointed out, it looks like concrete, it looks like whatever. I could not speak on what material it's made of, but anything traveling at sort of Mach 10 or anything hypersonic, the heat on this is absolutely insane. So the forefront leading edge of any of this has to be very thick to be able to withstand that. If you want to look at heat on things in the air, have a look like the SR-71 and how the fuel tanks used to leak because they had to make the panels too small, and once it heated up in the air on those leading edges, got so hot that it would expand and then stop the leaks. And this other image here, and I wouldn't say that these images alone are enough to say that it exactly was shot down by a Patriot air defense system, but if this is true, it did a massive slap in the face of this very advanced weapon from Russia. The Russia has said US does not have the technology to do this hypersonic or even shoot it down, and is proving that the US Patriot air defense system recently given to Ukraine is worth its weight in gold, although it is a very expensive, very complex system. Also, the Washington Post has reported today about the expectations of the counter-offensive. So let's have a look at this, and I think this is interesting. Now, a few people have asked me about sources of where I get my stuff, and I don't like Washington Post, I don't like CNN, I don't like Fox. The main reason I'm using this is to give you guys a bit of a broad spectrum of stuff, and mainly use the quotes that they will have translated out of interviews that I don't have time to do. So the Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov said in an interview, the expectation of the counteroffensive campaign is overestimated in the world. Most people are waiting for something huge, which he fears may lead to emotional disappointment. And I think that the really people to blame for this are like the propaganda pages, sprouting information of which they're not qualified to assess or speak on or have any experience in any of this. There's this idea of a fast sweeping offensive taking all this ground in weeks, months, and people even saying all the way to Moscow, when these offensives can take months, years, and not bear results in what may like or what you may expect. Look at, say, Wagner Group in Bakhmut. Look at the whole idea of Bakhmut, that this has been a fierce battle both ways for months and months and months, and cost thousands to tens of thousands of lives. You need to remember that Ukraine will be up against the largest defensive positions that we've seen built in decades. Western equipment is good, but it is by no means a silver bullet. The goal of this counteroffensive, I believe, needs to show the West that Ukraine is able to take ground from the Russian forces and continue the support, which is actually reinforced from later in this article here, saying, next, an example of success because we need to show it to our people, but I cannot tell you what the scale of success would be. 10 kilometres, 30 kilometres, 100 kilometres. Now, this isn't only against ground taken since 22, but also ground and areas that have been occupied since 2014, dug in now for almost 10 years. And this will be a massive uphill battle, and I think curbing expectations is realistic. The expectation of this shouldn't be to clear all this territory. It should be to show the rest of the world, that Ukraine is able to clear these territories, and then we'll see more advanced weapon systems and more weapon systems roll into Ukraine to then start clearing more of this, or give Russia the idea that they are fighting a losing battle and pushing shit uphill. But legends, that's it for today. I hope you're really doing well. I hope you've had a great weekend and don't have too many of the Sunday blues heading into the working week. If you'd like to support me, there's links down below, but never ever feel obliged. But look after yourselves. If you want to join the Telegram, that's down there too. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.